because this is a thing. All right, y'all. So
That's what I'm getting my doctorate in.
wait, who is me? I missed it.
Ashley Thomas.
Okay, listen, because I need some help over here.
Multiple screens going on right now with my Mac. So
okay, well, I will be reaching out then. I'm sure it's like a cord or something, but I don't know. Okay, y'all. So we talked a lot about yesterday in terms of this is a structured process, and you may just be used to approaching your dissertation writing or doctoral writing in the same way that you always have, right? But we talked about the importance of using a structured process. I am curious. Let me know in the chat, how was yesterday for you going through the scholar writing routine? You can give me a word, you can give me an emoji. Even if this is not your first time going through it, how would you describe it for yourself? Would you say it's helpful? Would you say that does it help you to like get started faster or anything that comes up? I'm just curious, what is your reaction to the scholar writing routine? Because I have found in order to do a bunch of like, I have all the goals, right? Like the way I dream with my notebook is like, I just want to do everything that my head thinks of. And I know that in order to do all the 50 million things I want to do, routines are more important. Habits will always be the thing that like shows up no matter what your intentions are. When you have a structured process like the scholar writing routine, it takes the thinking out. It takes the guesswork out of like, what do I do? How do I get started? You already know the answer. And so you don't have to do the whole like what if and the doubts and the guessing. We also talked about time management, which we'll talk a little bit more about today, but more so about how do we ensure that the plans we are making for ourselves, whether it's for the week, for the day, that it is detailed and constructed in such a way that, again, it takes the guesswork out, it takes the overthinking out, it takes the urge to be a perfectionist or to procrastinate. It takes that out of the equation so you could just show up and do the work. Energy management. Throughout yesterday and throughout today, the whole idea around let it be easy is so that you don't have to spend energy like stressing and being concerned about, can I do it? Do I have what it takes? You don't have to have those questions because I'm going to let it be easy. I'm going to choose my next best step and I'm going to let this process be easy. We'll talk a little bit more about this. And then experiencing this community, I hope being here for the past day and also today, you truly understand the difference of what happens when you're working within a supportive community. I hope that you can see in the way that we connect with one another, we communicate with one another, how this would be a space and continue to be a space where you feel grounded, you feel like, okay, with these people, I could do anything. So today, or yesterday rather, we focused a lot on this. We're going to come back to this, but I want you to think about it more from the perspective of, yes, you can have the structured process on your own and you can manage your time on your own. I find though, we need community to manage our energy more because other people can be on to us in a way that we can't be on to ourselves. At least I know me. I'm like, I'm going to do all the things. And the people in my community love me and like, are you sure? Or how can you take care of yourself? Because we're not always the best at reminding ourselves to take care of ourselves. Okay, so with that being said, how are you feeling about today? Are you ready? Number one, so put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you like, I'm not sure, girl, I'm tired. It's Sunday. Yesterday was good, but I don't know. 3 is not at all. How are we feeling about today? Thank y'all for the ones. It gives me a sense of support and direction and a helpful hand to lead me out of uncertainty and doubt. Yes, because if you stay in your mind too long, okay, it's going to convince you that nothing is working, that it's no point for you to do this. And community will help remind you who you are, what you have done in the past, and what you're capable of doing in the future. Becoming unstuck and using goals and accountability to reinforce consistency with writing instead of doing all the other things. Because all the other things do seem like they're important in the moment. Also, reframing my mindset and appreciating the work I've already done thus far. Yes, yes. Okay. Thank y'all for your responses. And it's okay for the twos. I get it. Okay. I get it. I am going to share a little bit about my story. And in terms of letting it be easy, I would say one of the main things that you want to work on is not no longer entertaining your excuses. Excuses are going to come up. Some excuses are very valid. Just because a thing is valid doesn't mean we have to give it attention. Just because a voice says a thing, just because we have a thought, doesn't mean we have to focus on it. When I say stop entertaining your excuses, I mean stop making it such a delicious, sexy thing for your brain to be like, but what if I don't make it? But my chair said I can't do it. So what if I can't? And then this like back and forth thing that we like to do. Or you're like, okay, I know I said I was going to graduate by May, but we're going into February. And so how many weeks do I have left? What do I need to do each week? You know, the mental math that we all do because we're getting worried about the deadline. What if you just said, no, I've already decided I'm graduating in May. So we don't need to do math. I've already decided that I know somebody said May Rosemont at 2 p.m., at 5 p.m., at 9:30 a.m., you're going to graduate. So anytime that your brain is like, but what if, you say politely to it, I'm not entertaining that because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. At first, doing this practice, you will have to do this a lot because your brain will be like, but, and you're going to have to like, nope, I've decided I'm graduating. In a way that you would do firm, but like lovingly to a child? No, I said no. Do that with yourself. No, I'm not entertaining this. I'm not going to go back and forth. I'm graduating in May or I'm graduating in December. What if you let it be easy by saying, I no longer entertain these like back and forth conversations about something I've already decided? Why are you not writing? I invite you to sit and think about this. Think about all the things that we discussed yesterday and this morning so far. Think about how life has been. Think about you. Think about the conversations you have with yourself. Why are you not writing? I want you to write this down for yourself. Write down the real reasons because you may not be comfortable to share that in the chat, but I really want you to think about this. Is it really about not having time? Is it really that you don't know what to do next? What are the real reasons, the deep reasons, the core reasons as to why you're not writing? Those of you who finish your dissertation, especially, you have the tools, right? If you find yourself, like in the beginning, you were more involved, you were coming to the weekly calls, you were coming to the Write With Us sessions, right? You were reaching out for help, and then life started lifing. And you know how it happens. Something comes up at work or one of your kids gets sick. Then you don't make it to the Sunday planning session. Then you tell yourself, oh, I'll come to the Thursday one. But then Thursday passed because, again, life is lifing. And then somehow your brain is like, well, I missed a week, so I'll just start back next month. And then next month comes and you're like, I'll just start again. And then as you know, like time goes by. So in no way am I saying like any of this is malicious, but I'm inviting you to think about how are you utilizing the resources and the tools that are available to you? Is there a way that you can gently or lovingly invite yourself back into using them? Why are you not doing what you know you should be doing? Because I hear this question a lot. Why can't I just do what I know I should do? And anytime your brain gives you a question, it's a great practice to answer it because you do not want your brain to answer it for you because the answers your brain will come up with won't be cute. I want you to be intentional. Why are you not doing the things that you know you should be doing, that you've been told to do, that you've written down in your 5011 planners if you're like me? The things that you write week to week on your weekly plan. Why are you not doing those things? If you can answer this question from a place of curiosity, not from a place of like judgment or like, I should do it, Because what we will tend to do is like, I know what I need to do. And we shut the conversation down. But there's a part of you that has very clear answers to these questions. And if you shut it down, you can't hear, you can't learn. So I'm inviting you, as uncomfortable as it may be, really sit with these questions. Why are you not writing? Why are you not doing what you know you should be doing? What is coming up? So as I tell you about my story, put a yes in the chat if if any of this resonates with you, because I am not asking you questions that I did not have to ask myself over and over, and I still had to ask myself over and over. October 2015. I can't believe this was 10 years ago, by the way, because I don't know what time is. Okay. But look at me and my little baby fro, because I had an impulsive moment and cut off all my hair. It's all right. That's a different story time. Anyway, October 2015. I passed my preliminary exams. Ooh, don't even know how. Okay, I did it. I studied though. I did practice. But in my brain, I was like, ooh, okay, check. And my chair was like, okay, girl, you can take a break. Because I was like, no, I need to, while I have this momentum, I need to work on my proposal. She was like, no, take a break. Start in January. And I knew that was a setup. But I was like, she's right. I should definitely take a break. But I was like, I'm going to think about my topic, but I couldn't think of a topic. I had too many ideas. And I came up with a topic during my preliminary exam, but I was like, I think it's too radical. They're not gonna get it. It was about social media and influencers. And I was like, I do not want to go down that road of trying to explain to my committee what an influencer is. So let me just let it go. But I couldn't, I kept reading and kept going back and forth, and I would just talk my chair's head off about, but I could do this, I could do that. And at some point she was like, girl, create a course for Black women, undergraduate women, and then do a case study. And I kept thinking, I'm like, but that's not even big enough. It's just like, it felt like no matter what the topic was, it wasn't big enough. It wasn't worthy of a dissertation. That's what I kept feeling like. I'm like, it's not dissertation worthy. I mean, it's a good topic, but it's not worthy. That was an excuse. Because if the dissertation is an educational exercise, choose a topic and move on. Because at this time, I was still telling myself that I was going to be somebody's faculty. All right. And so I could have very well just told myself, you got a whole career to do all this research. Pick a topic for right now and move on so you can be done with the degree. But if I'm honest with myself, if I go back to me at 2015, I was terrified. I went from feeling like the last one in my cohort, being on academic probation, trying to get faculty to talk to me, but they listen, I don't know what I did, okay? But we just wasn't vibing. Feeling like I was just I did not belong in my program, to all of a sudden I completed a publishable paper process and I passed my exams, and now somebody was saying, write your dissertation proposal. I couldn't understand how I got there so quickly. But I wouldn't have been able to articulate that to you right now in this moment. I just would have told you, I can't find a topic that's big enough. But underneath that was a lot of imposter syndrome and trying to figure out, how did I make so much progress in such little time, that I felt like they had pity on me and they were just letting me go by. Me today, 10 years now later, is like, no, girl, you did the work. You showed up. But me in 2015 was like, this is a trick. It's a setup. So she was like, this is my chair, by the way. Okay. She was like, go ahead and start reading. Because maybe if you go back to the literature and you remind yourself, maybe you'll come up with a topic. And this is us. We had a research team. This was like closer to me cutting off all my hair. And so I was like, okay, girl, I'm gonna go read the literature. And so of course I read all the literature. And I was like, I'm gonna start writing. I'm gonna see where I go. Maybe if I start with the stuff I prepared for my exams, maybe that'll help. I think I wrote a solid 2 paragraphs. And let me tell you, those paragraphs, they were real good. They were real clear. I had set up the literature review. It was great. but I couldn't go past those 2 paragraphs. Like I still have vivid memories of looking at my laptop on like the kitchen table and being like, just pick it up and open it. And I would open it and immediately be like, my brain can't, and I would close it back. So I just kept going back to the same articles and reading it because in my brain, clearly I must not be understanding what the articles are saying. Because if I did, then shouldn't I be able to write? Shouldn't I be able to write in the same way I did with my exam? Shouldn't I be able to write this proposal? What's happening? But that too was excuse number 2. Okay, because I had 11 ideas. And anytime my chair would ask me questions about the research design or the gap in the literature, I could answer her with no problem without looking at the reading, without having to go to my notes. I could verbally respond to her. But for whatever reason, by myself, at the Starbucks, at the library, at the Panera, at the Jittery Joe's coffee place, I could not figure out how to get myself to get a topic or to write a literature review. So then the stress starts picking up. My anxiety starts to grow and grow and grow. I can't sleep. Trying to go to sleep, y'all, going to doctor's appointments, going to see a psychiatrist, trying to figure out different medications. They would put me on a medicine for anxiety, but then, of course, it just made the sleep worse. And then they would give me something for sleep, but then it would make the anxiety worse. And it just felt like we kept going in this circle. And I was still having panic attacks every day. I still could not get out the bed or get out my car. Like, it took so much to just do regular things. And so I was like, maybe I just got this all wrong. Maybe I do need to take a real break, like my chair suggested, and just go focus on my health. Because how am I supposed to write when I don't have physical, mental, or emotional energy to do so? How am I supposed to do something as big, as important as a dissertation when I am barely holding on to life? It don't make no sense. And when I would talk to doctors, when I would talk to faculty, they would just say, oh, that's what it means to be a grad student. That's what it means to be a doc student. As a side note, what? Why is it so normal? Why is it okay for these health professionals to be like, yeah, it's just, yeah, every doc student goes through this. And nobody sees a problem with that. But I just kept going. So I was in physical therapy, talk therapy, psychiatrist every month, while still trying to do all the other things. Here's the thing, though. In my effort to take a break, the only thing I took a break on was my stuff, my goals, my life. I still was showing up for when everybody else called me and asked me to go do this thing for them or write with them or take this, do this conference, submit this paper, work on this research project. I was like, sure, yes, I'll do it. None of that stopped. Oh, in addition to your assistantship, you should, what? My brain was like, you should create a whole conference, even though I'm supposed to take a break. I just stopped working on my goals, mostly my dissertation. And so it's an excuse about me taking a break from my health. It's not that it's a problem to take a break. It's the fact that I didn't, though. I just low-key gave up and quit on myself, but was showing up for everybody else. I couldn't see it. None of this I could see in the moment. It just felt like it kept piling up. So man, we have gone from October 2015 to now we are at June 2016. Did you hear what I said? It was October. So what is that? 9 months of me. Only thing I got to show for it is 2 paragraphs of a literature review. I have no energy. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. It felt like everybody done gave up on me. And I feel like because I'm doing everything for everybody else, I still have no time. But we were all doctoral interns in housing, and they were like, oh, we're going to go up to the mountains in North Georgia, and we're going to do a writer retreat. You should come. My introvert self was like, absolutely not. I don't want to do that. They're like, no, you're coming. You don't have to write. You could sit there and color. You go watch TV. You could just relax, but we think you just need to get away. Now, another story time we're going to have later when we meet in person and have drinks is I was in a relationship I didn't need to be in, and they were like, no, girl, you come in because we need to have an intervention. But that was a side note. Also, we all graduating. So you gotta come with us. So I go. It's cute. We go to a little wine tasting, apple picking. It's real beautiful in the mountains. But my friend Lamisha here, we were, I want to say maybe day 3 or 4 being at we rented like this house cabin situation. And she was like, sit down, sit down at the kitchen table. She's like, sit down and write for 10 minutes. She's like, yeah. You're just bouncing around doing everything else, but sit down and write for 10 minutes. And then you can get up. You don't have to do nothing else. And I was like, no, I don't feel like it. She looked at me and she's like, please sit down. Get your headphones, get your laptop, and sit down. And my chair said to me before coming to this retreat, she said, I don't care what you send me, just send me anything. Just I mean it. I don't care if it's a bunch of like random words. You just need to send me something. So, okay. So I sit down. I try to procrastinate. I want to do everything but sit at this table and write. Now I got an attitude. So I just write. I start writing down anything. And I go on this rant because this is 2016 when Lemonade came out. And I go on this rant about how Jay-Z is cheating on Beyonce and who, what? It makes no sense. And then that rant started turning into actual words, like for a literature review. And the timer went off for 10 minutes and I just kept going. I ran out of excuses because I was actually sitting there writing. When I got up, I think I had about, I don't know, 10 shitty pages that I sent to my chair. Now, listen, what did I say? The first half of it was the rant about Jay-Z. Because again, I didn't understand. But the other half was about Black women. I didn't know what my topic was yet, but I was writing. And that's what I needed. It was like a spark that I needed. So June 2016 is the writing retreat. By the end of June, I have a full shitty draft of my proposal. In July 2016, my friend Joan is like, I found this methodology called Sister Circle methodology. I'm like, what? Let me rewrite my chapter 3 real fast. I think I had like 30 minutes or an hour before I was supposed to turn it in to my chair. And I rewrote chapter 3 to add that in. And I was like, I mean, she could just tell me no. I'm going to just put that in there. I do edits. We have to do opening because we work for housing. That's the whole thing. If I have any housing people here, then the whole city shuts down. All the undergrad students have to come to the university and we got to get them into their room. That's a whole ordeal. So August is pretty much out. You can't do nothing on August. September, I submit this to my committee and I defend my proposal a year later, October 2016. I say this because I want you to know that the stuff I'm telling you is not because I just had some perfect process and I just did everything, quote unquote, I was supposed to do. Yes, whoever that is, thank you for I will take it. What I learned though from this proposal experience, at some point I had to stop entertaining my excuses. What my friend Lamisha or Dr. Brown, the gift she gave me was she forced me through love, through care, to sit down and write for 10 minutes. That invitation was what I needed. It was like to snowball me writing the entire proposal in less than 2 months. When you stop entertaining your excuses, when you allow people to help you and gently call you in, what if that's all you need to write your dissertation? Your excuses, my excuses, were covering the real reasons why I was not making progress. Looking back on it, I needed the community. I needed somebody to sit with me. I understood what to do in terms of the writing part, but when I look back on it, I just had a lot of isolation and loneliness. And it wasn't until that June retreat when they were like, come with us. And I was like, oh, I do have community. There's people. But up to that point, as I'm going through the different doctor's appointments and whatnot, I felt very lonely. And when I would call home to my family, being a first generation student, they were like, but you're so smart. You'll figure it out. And while that is sweet, it was not helpful in the moment because no matter how much I said, it doesn't matter if you're smart. This process is not about that. It felt dismissive when they would be like, yeah, but we just look forward to graduation. What I know to be true, that 30% of making it to graduation is going to come down to having a clear plan and a process to follow. Most of you think that your biggest problem is not knowing what to do or not having the time. I'm telling you, that's only 30% of this equation. What we spent our time on yesterday and what we'll do today is only 30%. The other 70% is going to come down to, let's skip this, your habits. It's going to come down to what you do, like how you talk to yourself, really. When you do things like force yourself to write for long stretches of time, like if you are sitting there working for 2 hours or more, 99% of the time, you're not producing the results you think you are, and it's just exhausting you further. Yeah, you might feel locked in while you're reading and highlighting and taking notes, but are you producing written pages? Because when you get done after sitting there for 4, 6, 8 hours staring at your computer or reading the same articles over and over, and you look at like, what did I do today? And there's not much to show for it. Do you know how much that exhausts you? You know how like disappointed you feel? When you're trying to prove to others that you got this and you're trying to show up and you write every day, so you wake up really early or you stay up all night trying to prove that I'm doing the steps, I'm putting in the hours. But hours does not mean written pages. How do you get to graduation? Written pages. It doesn't have to take you writing every day to produce written pages for a finished dissertation. When you avoid decisions, like me avoiding, just pick a topic. Just pick the articles and write the pages, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Avoiding, showing up to my chair and telling her the truth. No, girl, I did not write. The avoiding is exhausting. Because when we are avoiding, we talked about this yesterday, like whether your avoidance looks like you're scrolling on social media, avoidance looks like eating, avoidance looks like working at your 9 to 5 more and more and more. It would be different in your avoidance, like as you're scrolling, if you were fully locked in and enjoying the TikToks you're watching. But if you are scrolling and at the same time you're having a conversation in your mind that's like, you should be writing. At least you could do is read something. At least you like, how much longer are you gonna do this? Do you ever want to graduate? When that conversation is happening, exhaustion, exhaustion, exhaustion. What's supposed to be a release of you scrolling is not, because that conversation is happening. When you refuse to tell other people, no, I can't help you. No, I can't be on that research team. No, I'm not going to do that paper with you. No, I'm not going to come to that party. No, I can't travel with you, or whatever the thing is. When you refuse to tell them no and you show up anyway, knowing that you don't have the energy or the motivation, knowing that if you show up with them, it's going to cost you something like rest or you writing, but you don't want to disappoint them, but you don't want them to think that you're not someone who can't handle it all or you can't do it all. Exhaustion. Constantly trying to prove that you belong, trying to prove that you're good enough is exhausting. What do your current habits say about you? Do they say, I trust myself? Do they say, I know enough? Do I trust what I know? Do they say, like, I trust that I have enough skills, support, resources to get done? Do your current habits demonstrate that you feel about yourself that you're good enough, that you belong, that you have what it takes to get to graduation? Not answering these questions is keeping you exhausted and keeping you stuck. We could talk all day about a plan. We could talk all day about um, how much you're going to manage your time. But if you don't believe it's possible, if you don't believe that you're good enough, none of that matters. A way that I have found to show myself, because it's not just as simple as like, think positive and it'll happen. No, I need it. And maybe you need an external way to answer that question of I'm good enough, not from other people, but from evidence that you create. Let me say it this way. Do I have a slide that says this? Okay, let me say it this way. What if this is just a numbers game? When I say let this be easy, what if this is a numbers game? What if this is not about you producing a high quality document? What if finishing a dissertation and getting to graduation becomes a numbers game? Meaning, how many paragraphs are you willing to write and rewrite? How many pages are you willing to write? How many drafts? How many meetings with your chair? How many questions you ask? How many times you ask for feedback? Let me make sure I'm being clear. It doesn't matter if it's a good page. It matters that you wrote the page and you submitted it for feedback. It doesn't matter if you have to submit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It matters that you are willing to keep doing that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, it's not about the content as much as it is about the number of times, the number of repetitions you put in. What if it's just that simple? What if this is just a big race of like, how many of these can I do? We get stuck thinking, well, my chair told me that I can only give them a complete draft, or it has to be close to done. But what if they don't mean what they say? What if they just want you to keep submitting something? What if they're looking for evidence that you did read their feedback and you incorporated it into the next draft? The reason why we talk about you need to make peace with a minimum of 5 drafts for each chapter and for the entire dissertation is because I know, and I'm trying to help you see, it's a numbers game. Your committee knows it's a numbers game. They are not expecting you to like show up and knowing how to do the entire process on day one. How? You've never done it before. The whole point of the dissertation is to teach you how to design, conduct, and write up research. Why would it be reasonable or even logical that you would show up on day one with your dissertation chair and being like, here's a completed proposal. I don't need your help. That makes no sense. They are looking for effort. They are looking to see that you are improving. That's where the numbers come in. Right? I wrote 10 pages of shitty paragraphs. Ooh, they were shitty that day at the kitchen table. Then those 10 pages turned into 60 pages 30 days later. Why? Because I was just showing up being like, I don't know, I'm just a writing. She told me to send it to her, so I just sent it to her. Now I'm grateful to have a supportive chair who did read through. She had no idea. She was like, girl, I think I know who Beyonce is, but I don't even know what you're talking about. But thank you for the story time. She's like, please remove this for the next draft. And then I just removed it. And we just kept doing that. 60 pages. And then that 60-page proposal was 100 by the time I defended. Why? Because I was just showing up putting in reps at that point. I trust that my chair was going to give me feedback. Now her feedback, y'all, is not for the faint of heart, okay? All right. Her track changes and her comments did not. I don't want y'all to think like, oh, it was easy. No, you gotta be prepared for her feedback. But it's a roadmap. It told me exactly what to do, how to do, what to focus on. Your chair is going to do the same thing for you. But in the moment, you will try to resist. You will try to tell yourself, like, no, I could work smarter. I could do this faster. I could skip over the rounds of feedback if I just focus on it right now. But that's not working for you. Okay, so let's focus on evidence. All right, what is the reaction that you have, if any, about this story, about what I'm sharing with you? You might need to breathe. That's okay. I understand. You know, I'm just speaking my truth, Jonica, like speaking my truth. Excuse me. I mentioned this yesterday, but the people that you see, they seem like they're just moving through the program and you're confused as to how. It's because they're just showing up, putting in reps. They're just showing up, doing whatever their chair told them to do. They're not trying to argue with nobody. They're like, okay, you want me to do that? Let me go do it. And in the let me go do it, they're not trying to be perfect at it. They're not trying to prove like I did exactly 1000% what you told me to do. They're doing something like 60, 70% of what their chair asked them to do, and then they're submitting it and seeing what happens. They're not trying to get 100%. They're like, I took a attempt at it. Okay, there you go. What if that's all you have to do? What if it was okay for you to do that? What if you were allowed to submit 60, 70% completed work? Now, I know somebody's cussing me out in their head. I don't do 60 and 70. Remember what I said yesterday? It's because you care so much and you want to be perfect. It's the reason why this is taking you so long. Because you think that the work that you're reading of other people, you think they waited until it was 100% done to put it out there. They did not. They trust themselves to have a starting point and to get better over time, because the more reps you do, the better you will become. So someone asked me the question of, what is a response to the argument that the PhD dissertation is such a heavy lift? I want it to be impactful, worthy, not just an activity. I would ask anyone who is resonating with that question, I would ask you, what does impact mean exactly? How would you know that your dissertation, that your PhD experience was impactful, was worthy? How would you operationalize that? Like, what has to happen once you, like, let's say you're 6 months post graduation and you're looking back on your experience. What are the things you're looking for to know if it was impactful or worthy? Is it because people said something to you? What did they say to you? It's because you feel a certain way. What are those feelings? Is it you can do a certain thing? You have a certain skill set? What is that skill set? Let's start there. We have to define our terms in order to know. Because I'm willing to bet you, if I gambled, that however you operationalize impactful and worthy, what you will find is you already did it. You've already accomplished impact and worth. Just by you being in this program is impactful and worthy, because you made it to a terminal degree, because you were enrolled in a program with just, I need to see y'all as I go on this side rant for a minute, okay? Because thank you for this question. Not even 50 years ago, right? Like 50, 60 years ago, could someone who looked like you be in this program, be in a doctoral program? And even if you were in the program, somebody who looked like you or came from where you came from, think about how hard of an experience that was. The fact that you are enrolled is impactful. We're all worthy just for existing. The fact that you made it into the program, whether you got out of coursework or not, you already made an impact. You already disrupted the system. Because all we got to do is look at the news cycle just in this week alone. Right? The system says you don't belong there, you DEI enrollee, right? And I'm being antagonistic on purpose. But I want you to think about that. The fact that you are in the program and you show up every day is already impactful. There's already a group of people looking at you being like, wow, if they could do it, I could do it. So when we say we want it to be impactful and worthy, what are we really talking about, and who are we really talking about? Whose approval are we looking for? Because the people you come from, where you come from, home, they already proud. Your family already proud. Okay, my mom was out there telling everybody I was a doctor in semester 1, year 1. Girl, right? Already proud. Okay, let's move forward because I want to answer this directly. When we're thinking about our work, right, and we say things like, I want to honor my participants, I want to do good scholarship. Who's reading your scholarship? Now, think about what I'm asking you. Who is going to be the people who will go find your dissertation and read the actual dissertation? Is it really the people you're talking about? Is it the people that you centered in your research? Is it the people who come from where you come from, or is it other academics? I'm talking about the physical 200, 300, 400-page dissertation. Who is really going to go look it up? First of all, who has the access and the ability to go look it up? And if they do find it, are they going to read it? Or is it more likely that the people you want to be impacted by your work the most, the way that that's going to happen is maybe they see you talk somewhere. Maybe you come out with an article, which is more accessible. It's easier for me to get an article than it is to get your dissertation. Maybe you do something like a podcast, or you write a book that's more accessible. I'm more likely to do that. So let's be clear. Is it other academics you want to see you as worthy? And who makes up the majority of academics? Further, now I'm going to really say something. You're going to try to fight me. What if before you even collected one piece of data, the experience that you have, your research that you've already done in terms of like going through the literature and really sitting with the information that existed, what if you could just write a dissertation from the top of your head right now and it would still blow people out of the water? But what if your knowledge is that deep, your experience so vast, so nuanced that you could write right now, or you could just start talking and people would be like, what? Let me take it further. What if every time that you speak in your class, every time you have a meeting with your chair, they're blown away. They're like, wow, does she even know how brilliant she is? Impactful, worthy. What if your shittiest of shitty drafts would blow most people out of the water? I'm asking everybody here to consider, what if you are already the person you think you're trying to become, and the only thing that's left is for you to see it? If I was to ask you to go write an email for work, you would do that as no problem. It would just be another activity. I'm asking you, what if your writing, your current level of writing, your current level of knowing is already at the level where you could just treat the dissertation like another activity because that's how far advanced you are? I want you to consider that. If we keep waiting for the people around you to come up to you to be like, Natasha, do you know that you're so brilliant and we can't even help you? Now, what academic is going to do that? Okay. What? No, I can't let you know. This is still a competition. I don't care how social justice supportive your program thinks they are. This is still within the system and the institution of higher education. Okay, that's probably more of an answer you were looking for, but I hope that helps. Y'all, most of you have already completed and surpassed the requirements laid out by your program. And the only thing you have to do is go through the motions to get to graduation. Get out of your way. You're the one holding you back because you think you're not ready. But how are you the judge of that? You ain't never done this process before. A dissertation, a doctoral program is light work compared to what you're going to do in this lifetime. Light work. And this is where I end and I'll move on. If y'all are on TikTok like I am, okay, it's a little bit of a problem. I mentioned this yesterday, okay? But Dr. Barlow, and I can't remember what institution she's at, okay, friend was just trying to connect with her students on the TikTok, and she made an introductory TikTok saying, hey, welcome to Intro African-American, is it African-American Studies or History? Okay, the internet ran with it. Mostly, everybody's like, we got to get our books. Where's the syllabus? She said, don't miss the first class. People getting oh, I don't even know how I got enrolled in this class, but let me go do it. So everybody is learning and showing up. For her to come back to be like, I wasn't talking to y'all, I was talking to my 30 students enrolled in the actual course. Now we didn't bully her so much that she came back and was like, fine, I'll give you my reading list. And I guess I'll let it be open so y'all can learn too. Now I'm bringing this up to say, not only did she do that, but there is probably hundreds by this point of courses available on TikTok University. Okay, there is now a Shield. There's a president of the Hillman Talk University. There's a dean of students. There are academic advisors all on TikTok. Some of these classes are being taught by students. Some of these classes are being taught by folks who Hillman, thank you, who who are professors who have doctoral degrees. But I just was thinking about the power of that. Some of these people are like, I don't got y'all a fancy degree, but I could teach a course. I just think about all this collective knowledge and wisdom that's happening on this app, and so many people are going to benefit from it. You could be doing the same thing, and you are doing the same thing. You just may not be looking for it because you're looking for a certain type of person to tell you you're doing a good job. But I'm just going to invite you to interrogate that a little bit more as to why. Why is their opinion more important than all the thousands of pieces of evidence you already have? But it's hilarious on TikTok. Like, listen, there's a lot of classes, anything from financial literacy, okay, how to write a screenplay, emotional regulation. Like, there's so many classes. There's a list somewhere floating around. Okay, let me know. How we doing? Give me a reaction. Give me a one-word reaction. I'm going to end these lives on this internet. Give me one-word reaction. How are we doing?